I started taking antidepressants, and I felt like a fucking superhuman, dude.
Vividly remember this. I think this is like this exact event might be when I decided like, oh, I think I kind of hate when people give me gifts.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Everybody pay attention. This is like an Aaron lore drop.
I remember because I know we've had this thing about the gifts before in the past.
For a long time, yes.
It's like such a button for me. I know you know this.
Yeah, and it's fine. There's just other ways that you prefer to be loved.
And I think we can parallel this. When I was a child, one of my grandparents, all of my grandparents were very religious.
Yeah.
Not my fave. And I remember I had a set of grandparents who didn't know me very well.
Yeah.
And like it's kind of like that thing, like you come to, that's a whole nother conversation we could get into.
Yeah. The like boomer mentality of if you want to have a relationship with me, it's your job to come to me, which is not how relationships with children work.
Also, like I'm the child.
Correct.
I couldn't even drive.
Correct.
Like
it's just very demanding. It feels very like I will.
You owe me.
Well, and I'm withholding my love from you unless you do the thing that I want, which is like inherently manipulative.
I'm not a puppet. Yes, which was another conversation we had when we decided we didn't want to have kids.
Yeah.
But I was given. I'm wondering, and I'm hoping I'm not misremembering the name, but Hermie the Wormy. It was. I think it was a Christian book about. A worm named Hermie.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know, I never read it, obviously.
Yeah.
But not, like, I can't remember, but I remember getting this book, Hermie the Wormy, or a movie or a DVD.
Sure.
Maybe. And I was older at this time, like, I think almost like early teens, and being given this gift.
Yeah.
And I remember just like looking at my mom, like, do they know how old I am? like, are they, because it was like, it felt like it was like VeggieTales adjacent.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't think these people know me at all.
It kind of gives the energy of like we bought the same gift for all of our grandkids, regardless of how old they are. So like you got the same gift as a 12 or 13-year-old that like, you know, Sally Sue got at the age of like 5 or 6, which is problematic.
Feels
in its own
bad,
right.
man. Feels bad.
Hold on. I'm looking up Hermie the Wormy now because I need to know.
I think to parallel that, or not to parallel that, but contrast that with, I remember one of the gifts you gave me, it was like one of the first birthdays we had.
Oh, no. Are you going to make fun of me?
No. No, you bought me that OST to one of my favorite animes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and I just like bawled my little eyes out.
I remember that, actually.
I mean, I just finished watching it. It was like my third time watching it, but your first time.
Yeah.
And it was just like such a sweet and like life-giving moment. And I was like, oh, like some people, you know, like you get me.
That's actually going to make me cry.
Yeah, I'll never forget that.
Sweet.
I don't remember exactly what time of year, what birthday it was or whatever, but like I remember opening it up and be like, no fucking way. Like, yeah.
I think we were still living in that first house too.
Oh yeah, I have it saved obviously too, but I have it like on every computer I've ever had.
It's a really good soundtrack.
Oh, it is. It's so good.
It's really good. Also, yes, it's Hermie the Wormy.
It was Hermie the Wormy. Can I please see?
Is it this?
It is that. Oh, what in the uncanny valley fuck is that?
I'll send you.
Get it away from me.
I'll send this to you so we can input it in the pod.
Anyways, welcome to story time and the pod. We're already unpacking.
We're sharing with you guys some of our origin story of why we ended up the way that we are.
Yeah, it came to our attention last week, the last pod, or like 2 weeks ago. Either way, one of the last episodes. I guess we don't talk about it very much, but I feel like you have.
I feel like I have, but maybe we don't talk about it that often.
But yeah, Mickey used to be like hella religious.
Yeah.
Like low-key Fundie Lite.
Yes.
Or like on your way.
Yeah. It was like very much the Fundie Lite pipeline. We talked about this in the episode that we did about Fundie couples.
Yes.
And like, do they resent each other? And there was a couple of comments like being surprised about my past with religion. Which I was surprised by because I thought we had talked about it before, but I figured this. I thought
that was just like.
Yeah, I figured this was a good opportunity for us then to like talk about our own histories with that. Yeah. Because I think mine is probably a little bit more lengthy than yours.
Definitely,
but we both do like we've had conversations in private that we like very much resonate with each other's experiences with religion, and like that's kind of why we are the way that we are about
How we ended up here.
Yeah. Well, and also why we both feel so passionate about making that content on the channel.
Yeah. It's important to us.
It's a whole story. We're going to get into it.
Oh, don't worry. We're going to flesh it out.
But yeah, I had no idea that happened, the Hermie the Wormy thing. That's crazy.
I don't know why, just all of a sudden, you know, like sometimes you just, are existing, and then sometimes an errant thought pops into your head. I mean, of course, I'm sure everyone does that experience.
Yeah. I can assure you that the not the bulk, but like a fair amount of my clinical work is people like all of a sudden remembering traumatic things and being like, hold on, I need to talk about this.
I had never thought of that before.
Yeah.
I never thought, but I just like remembered it the other day, and I was like, oh, is that why I hate getting gifts?
Probably. Yeah. Because you
spoiled it.
You learned that gifts were about other people and not for you.
Yeah,
which is so
honestly.
sad. Especially because I pride myself on being like an especially good gift giver.
And you are especially good gift giver.
It is like a special skill of mine.
Almost so much so that I've had to tell you to like tone it back.
Fucking
for
tone
certain
it down.
People or like for certain things. And
yeah. Well, and I think we've also had the conversation that like when you go all out for like Christmas or a birthday or whatever, then it's like, how the fuck am I supposed to follow this act next year? And especially because our birthdays are 19 days apart, it's just kind of like this is awkward and uncomfortable if somebody like does the most and somebody doesn't, So we kind of just like don't do gifts now.
Yeah.
Which honestly I'm really happy with. But also
we be getting each other stuff all the time, I feel like.
Yes. Yeah. That too. But also I just like I don't really like the whole like to do of like I love birthdays. Don't get me wrong. I am like the birthday bitch. But I really don't like the to do of like buy me the most expensive thing that we can afford or like trying to keep it a secret from me also.
The secret, it eats me alive.
Well, like A, I don't like being kept out of the loop. I want to know the surprise. But B, we share a bank account. So like for you
but
to
you don't be checking that shit. You are pretty.
That's not true. But for you to like effectively hide it, you have to like really go to some lengths.
Yeah.
Which sucks,
Well, and like I just want to tell Mickey.
I know.
Like
we have big fat mouths.
I know, but I also really played myself too because I gifted you myself when we were 16 and I jumped out of that box.
Yes, it was a moment.
And I spooked you. I didn't spook you, but I surprised you.
It was pretty cute though. You like woke me up for school on was it my 16th birthday?
I think so, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you bought a giant box and you put yourself in it. You decorated my whole room, and then my parents like helped you get into the house and stuff, and
snuck me in as if I did even sneak in because you could sleep through anything.
I sleep like the dead
when you fall asleep.
Yeah, once I finally fall asleep.
It's not fair.
Anyways, let's talk about the religion stuff because I mean I think mine is like sort of a convoluted story. I don't necessarily want to tell it like in a chronological story time sort of vibe. But yeah, for those of you who don't know, like I was raised in a Catholic family, like Mexican Roman Catholic thing. Very much a like if you know, you know.
I was about to say, because I feel like I was like, oh, like you get it, but like most people probably won't get it. But
if you don't get it, it's just like very intertwined with the culture. Like even people in our family who weren't particularly religious were still going to church and like doing the sacraments and like kind of doing the thing.
It's like an out of obligation thing.
Yeah. And it kind of almost turns into more of like a cultural tradition than it does like a religious belief necessarily.
Honestly, that feels really accurate.
But don't get me wrong, there were still very much like very fiercely devoted religious people in my family growing up. And so that was a thing that was just like very normal. I think also along with that though, I grew up in like a relatively large family, like not my core family, but like our extended family was quite large. Yeah. And so statistically speaking, the way that worked out then meant that we were going to funerals a lot.
I know. I am this many years old and I still have never been to a funeral.
That's crazy to me.
And I don't know, at this point, I don't know what to do about it.
I had a whole section of my closet as a child that was dedicated to church and funeral outfits.
I cannot. Also, I will say I kind of appreciate my parents in this regard because they didn't force me to go. Like there were definitely people dying around. That's such a weird thing to say. There were people dying around me. But like there were deaths in my family.
Yeah, but you just didn't have to go.
Yeah, they never
made
me go, which I kind of
especially
appreciate.
Because like Catholic funerals are such a thing. There's like
there's like the whole pomp and circumstance of it.
Yeah. So you do like the rosary before, and some people do a viewing, and then you have like the actual mass, and then you go to
a viewing.
Oh yeah.
Like more than once.
Yeah.
Is it like what I picture it to be, like in the TV, in the TVs, in the movies and media and stuff, or is it like
kind of spooky, baby? Like I don't think
are they really just sitting there like? Do they look dead? Like in the
It's a little spooky. I think especially as a little kid, it's kind of hard to wrap your brain around.
Yeah. Because you got to keep them cold too, don't you?
I mean, they're embalmed, so I don't
Oh,
think
it's
so.
still like different. Yeah.
But yeah, it's a little spooky. My mom, I will give credit to my parents
Okay.
though, because they didn't force me to go up and do the viewing.
Oh, that's good. That's
my
nice.
mom told me this story about how when she was a kid, she was like forced to do that, and like one time she was forced to like give a kiss goodbye.
Like
I think,
touch.
and it was like really traumatic for her, understandably so. And so she's like, I'll never force you to do that. So I did it a couple of times out of the like gold star student thing of like, I'm brave. No, like the standing in line
like,
for the viewing.
Yeah, okay, that is brave gold star.
Yeah, because I just wanted to be,
Yeah,
like
you wanted, like-
I'm grown up, and then I was like, oh, never mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we've done like the whole rigmarole, because it's like the rosary the night before, and then there's the viewing, and then there's the mass, and then you go to the graveyard and you do the burial, and it's like a whole thing there.
Damn.
But it's like so involved. It's like a whole weekend's worth of stuff. But like that was very normal for us growing up, and
just
so like,
oh, got a funeral this weekend.
yeah, even before I had made the decision as a grown up, I guess it's like 18, like 17.
I still don't feel like a grown up.
I know, yeah, to get like involved with the church. I was still very familiar with the way that things were supposed to be,
Yeah.
And then we also went through phases growing up where we went to church like regularly. I think you guys did this too.
No, we definitely did. 100%.
Right?
100%.
Where like for some of the time we were like very much the Creaster people, like Christmas, Easter, that's it. But some of the time, I also saw somebody call it like Cape Christians.
What's it called?
Cape, like Christmas. I can't remember what the A was. Passover or something. No, not Passover. That's Jewish. I can't remember what the acronym was.
Oh, okay.
But it was like
E is probably Easter, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
What's A and P?
I don't remember. Cape Catholics. That's what it is. It's Christmas, Ash Sunday, Palm Sunday, or Ash Wednesday, Palm Sunday, and Easter.
That makes so much more sense. Okay.
But yes, we did very much do that growing up. And then also there was periods of time though where we were going to church every single fucking Sunday. And my parents were really good friends with the
Your parents are really good friends with everyone.
I mean, well, in Catholicism, they're called like the father, but like the pastor at our church. And then like we would have him over for dinner at our house and like this whole thing. My parents, they're still actually very good friends with that person. But yeah, we were like deeply involved when I was a little kid. But you guys did this too, right? Not like
not to that sense.
Like regularly.
Like my parents both, actually my dad's side and my dad like Christian in the way that like you are. Mm-hmm. In the way that you are just Christian, I guess, just as in the way that's the most popular. You call yourself a Christian? As in the way that's the most popular religion, like. Yeah,
that you basically like Christian in the way that you're like, well, I'm not an atheist, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then my mom's side was very religious. Yeah. Very involved in the church and stuff like that, and I was regularly, my summer breaks. Yeah. Included the week-long Bible study camp things. Ooh. Also, I didn't realize.
What was that like, by the way? Because I'm really curious about it as like from a Christian perspective. Because I grew up in the Catholic Church, which is different, I think because like I always viewed Christian like summer camps and Easter Sundays or like Sunday school as like so fun and hip and cool. Yeah, because I thought we were like old fuddy duddy, sort of like boring.
No, you were boring. Let's make that clear. No, when we drive past the churches during the summer and you see like the signs up for like this year's theme is like that. Yeah, it was that. Like there must be. I didn't realize.
To those?
I didn't realize this was like a chain restaurant of Christian summer camp things. Like it was like a traveling circus of sorts. But like there must be a Christian entity that makes or creates
hella
these
money
programs and these themes. Like I remember one was in the Serengeti and it was like African themed, and I'm sure it was super appropriative in the time looking back on it. And as I remember, because I went to several of these over the years, and I don't remember very much about them at all.
Really?
Because I would go and hang out and stay the week with my grandparents because they lived out of town.
Yeah.
And I would go to their church during the day, and then they would pick me up. It was like summer school or like Bible.
That's awful.
Like
your summer break, you had to go to summer school, but for Jesus.
Yeah, but we did like games and stuff, and like did arts and crafts and bullshit.
That's fun.
Yeah, it wasn't like you were sitting in a classroom like that per se.
Because our Sunday school was sitting in a classroom.
No.
It was like kid friendly, but it was still
that's some Catholic
school.
Shit.
Yeah.
No, ours was very like Christian and like the. Like when people portray the cool Christians, like, I'm just one of you guys.
I'm picturing Kelvin from Righteous Gemstones.
No. Yes, it is. It is giving gemstones. It is that vibe.
That's
like,
so funny.
Let's go to the pump house. Not the pump house. That sounds like the gym. The jump house. And go fucking jump on trampolines for Jesus.
Yes, yeah. You were jumping on trampolines for Jesus.
I was jumping for Jesus.
Aw, that's
as
so
a little
cute.
kid. But no, yeah, so I'd go up there. And mostly I like just going up there and hanging out with my grandparents at the time because
did you see your cousins and stuff growing up?
Oh, all the time.
Like
all so much.
That's so interesting to
Well,
me.
with like Thanksgiving and stuff, really.
Yeah, because
the
like I don't
family
know any
holidays.
of those people. Like I've met them, I think, twice in our
Yeah.
entire
It's
relationship.
actually, well, we all are like very
Yeah.
like
Spread apart.
anti or the opposite or no nuclear. Yeah, in the sense that everyone separates and
Oh.
yeah, like everyone has their own little unit
I
and
see.
stuff. Yeah.
Yes, not like the sort of collectivist.
No.
family.
Like everyone's
I
very
see.
separated and lives
So
all
the opposite
over.
of my family.
Yeah. You guys are very dense and concentrated. We are the opposite. We are like very gaseous.
Well, and there's like a fixation with like the big happy family thing. Like
Yeah.
everybody must gather regularly.
I think it's so interesting, the dynamic of that, because we very much had that at the same time too, but like there was still very much regular bitching about other family members and stuff, and like
we had that
generally-
too. Rest assured.
And like I think it's such an interesting phenomena, the like blood is thicker than water thing, where like everyone hates everyone in this room.
Yep.
But we're here because like
I don't know.
Like who told you, like who was like, we will be here?
Yeah, usually it's like the heads of the family that are like just
Yeah.
really fixated on this idea that my family all is really happy to spend
I
time
feel like
together.
a lot of browbeating.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of guilt.
A lot of guilt.
A lot of
Yeah,
guilt.
a lot of guilt.
But yeah, so I think, I don't remember a lot. I don't know why the Serengeti one is coming back to me.
That's so
Sometimes
funny.
I get on the podcast and I'm like, the memories, they're becoming unlocked.
They're flooding. That's really funny.
Like the
Yeah. Because our like Sunday school experiences were very regimented. They were very school-like.
Okay.
But also too, I think it's so interesting that because you said the thing about like some big company basically that was like selling all of these Christian programs
Yeah,
to
it
people.
has to be like
But like ours was very much the vibe of like neighborhood church.
that. I could
You know,
understand. You guys went to a
like-
smaller church too.
Yeah. Well, and my
Yeah.
mom did the Eucharist thing. She like did the training to be like
Oh.
one of the people who hands out the Eucharist
Yeah,
during
yeah.
Mass and stuff. And like my dad, I can't remember what the thing, my dad was like, did like the training to
was
do
like-
something in the
yeah.
church. And they both did the thing where they like carry the candle in and like do the whole thing. Like
You
I
have to
think
wear like a little robe and stuff too with it,
yes,
don't you?
yeah.
You
And
get,
I
like,
did it one time. And it was so fucking embarrassing.
Why? What happened? How is it embarrassing? You
Just because I didn't really know what I was doing, and because I'm a kid and I was
Yeah.
stupid, and so I was just like I remember standing there like with the thing and being like I don't know who
You're
to
such an
hand it
anxious
to.
little being too. You had no chance.
And then like
probably.
all of the like adults there were like, "Come here," but it's one of those moments I think where like you feel like everyone is looking at you.
Yeah, but in reality,
And actually, probably nobody even noticed that I like hesitated. But I was like, I'm never doing that
Yeah,
fucking
yeah,
again.
yeah.
But like, we were very involved in the church and did a lot of that stuff, you know?
And this was when you were younger.
Yeah, but it all had the vibe of like someone here in this church not made it up, but like the Sunday school
This has
teacher
been-
here is like creating this
Yes,
Sunday school
like
program.
This is being handed down.
Yeah.
Yes.
And like the choir was like headed by like this group of sisters who like chose all the songs. It was like
Oh.
all like very
That's
sort
kind
of
of cool though. That's dope.
yeah. Well, and I think that's why my parents liked it so much because it was like the sense of community
Yeah.
thing, you know? But like I always was like weirdly envious of Christian kids who got to go to these like big mega churches because I thought that
Yeah.
sounded way more fun than what we were doing.
No, I remember going to high school and all the fucking CCV kids
Yes.
like,
Yeah. And then when they had a cafeteria, I thought
Oh
that was
my
the coolest
God.
shit. I was like, oh, because I think also it was like the Keeping Up with the Joneses thing.
Yes.
I was like annoyed that because we were, not well-to-do growing
No.
up. And I was annoyed about us going to the church that I was like, this is that poor people
Yeah.
church. And like in hindsight, that's really toxic.
No, but also
you know.
too though the same. I feel like because in my opinion or my observation is like
Mm-hmm.
the Fundie Lite stuff didn't start happening until you stepped into like regular Christian,
Correct.
like away from
Yes. And like don't get me wrong,
yeah.
I have many problems with the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
Because there is very much like this heavy emphasis on shame. I remember
Oh, yeah.
the reason actually that my parents stopped taking me and my brother to that church is because the pastor that we really liked left. From
Oh,
my
yeah,
understanding, there was like some political.
How does that even happen? Like you're the pastor, you're the big dog, like you're the
well,
boss.
because the Catholic Church is very hierarchical. So he's like the head of that church.
Yeah.
But there's like a regional diocese and like the bishops and
That's
all
so
these things. It's like
interesting.
very feudal.
Yeah.
And so that pastor told the higher ups
Yeah.
like, you guys are trying to enforce this, because it was at the time that the Catholic Church was making a lot of changes to go back to the very like Roman Catholic way of doing things.
Okay.
They were doing Latin masses, and also they were like having problems with people like falling asleep and stuff, I guess. So they started doing like the bells and stuff again, and there was like the incense and the holy water sprinkling, like all that stuff.
And this is
They were bringing all of that back. And then also there was a thing that like specifically I remember my mom was really upset about.
What was it?
The body of Christ, when you divvy it up.
Wafers?
You've been to Catholic Mass.
I've ate them before. I'm pretty sure I wasn't supposed to, but
baby,
I felt weird saying no. Everyone else is getting some. I want a little sip and a snack.
So funny. For those of you who don't know, in Catholic religion, you have to go through like a training, essentially like a class, to be allowed to receive the body and blood of Christ.
Not if you just say yes. Call me Jim Carrey.
If you don't, you're supposed to like go up there and like cross your arms, and then they just give you a blessing, basically. But anyways, in the Mass, there's obviously the bowls with the little wafers, but the whole song and dance is that they stand up there with this big wafer, and it's like a symbolic breaking of bread, as if to say, like, it's supposed to be representative of the way that Jesus took small pieces of bread off of like essentially like a fucking baguette and then shared it with his disciples, right?
Yes.
It's like a demonstration of like sharing and like community, whatever, right? So they have this big fucking wafer that they like break into pieces, and then they sprinkle it into all the bowls, and they send the Eucharistic ministers out into the thing, and everybody lines up and you eat the thing, right? But in like the sort of newer, like New Age Catholicism, they like literally hold it up high and they break it, and it's like this big thing, right? So everyone can see it, basically. And so they, at the time, wanted to return to the pastor turning around and breaking it like facing away from the congregation, so that you can't see it. And my mom was very, very upset about this. I don't really understand why, to be perfectly honest. I think just because it feels weird.
Yeah. Also, honestly, I like that less too. That feels weird.
Well, and it does very much have this like hierarchical feeling of like only I am allowed to see the special things, and you peasants are not allowed to see, which is weird.
I'm picturing like a very like WWE moment of him holding the bread up and like
no, for real. It was like such a thing.
Yeah. I want that.
But they started to move away from that. And then they also started to like reinforce these things where like they were really starting to get dogmatic about if you were not going to confession. Because technically you're not supposed to receive the Eucharist if you don't go to confession.
Are you supposed to go to confession every Sunday?
Every Saturday or once a week anyway.
You're supposed to, so no matter what, you're supposed to go confess?
You have to cleanse yourself before you can receive the body of Christ.
Even if you haven't done anything wrong?
Oh, everyone does something wrong. That's part of the problem.
If you have to cleanse yourself every week.
This is why people take issue with Catholics, because it's very much the get out of jail free card thing.
Like, so I know, because I know people used to be like, oh, you just fuck up the whole week until you get to set, like.
Well, yeah, you show up basically, and I'm sorry, I like fucked this up, I fucked that up, and like go home and say 10 rosaries, good to go.
I feel like the Catholic Church probably just did that in the beginning, probably to catch people on shit, but also to just like get the hottest tea. Like that would be the best way to get the best goss.
There's really interesting historical roots to that, but that's
do you know why? Or
yeah. I mean,
there's like, was there purpose? Or
well, so yes, I mean, historically speaking, the Catholic Church is like one of the oldest churches.
Of course.
But anyways, the point that I'm making is that first of all, they started to get really dogmatic about the rules of Catholicism. That like, especially, remember I said the thing about how like for a lot of people in my family, it was more cultural than it was spiritual.
Yes, of course.
Very much that, right?
Yeah.
Like people who are sort of raised Catholic and like I'm gonna go to mass so that like mom doesn't get mad at me or like my nonna doesn't pressure me, right?
I've just been going.
Yeah. Like I'm not going to fucking confession on Saturdays. Like I'm not doing that, right? But then they were sort of side-eyeing you for not going to confession and whatever.
Were they like keeping a list of like, because there'd be so many people. I guess
and like know. Especially for a small neighborhood church, like they do know.
You would know,
right?
Actually, yeah.
Well, and so the pastor at this church was like, I'm not doing that. Like I don't like any of that, right? And they also started to double down on the very like anti-LGBTQ stuff.
Oh yeah, I remember that being the thing. We're like,
And so this pastor specifically was like, I'm not doing that, right? And so he got politely told to fuck off.
Damn.
Probably not so politely. They put a new father in that church, and then we stopped going to that church.
You got a stepdaddy.
Yeah.
The church got a stepdaddy.
For sure. But no, so yes, I do very much have my issues with Catholicism because it's very like shame-based, right? The thing you said about like, what if you didn't do anything wrong? Like, you always do something wrong.
They'll get you. They got you.
In Catholicism, you always are doing something wrong.
You breathe funny today.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's just like a lot of like sexism and misogyny also.
I feel like for femme-presenting people, they don't care about that for women.
Well, I mean, you're not allowed to like show your shoulders in mass, for example. You know? But I didn't really start my like Fundy pipeline journey until I went to like Christian like revivalist.
The revival,
kind of stuff. I didn't start to fall down that pipeline until I crossed into that area.
As someone who loves music, and like am so deeply moved by like great pieces of music, I don't get those vibes when I go, like when we used to go.
Yeah.
I know, like I don't like, because they are very like major chords and stuff. And, like I understand like they're very.
But it didn't affect you.
Great. Like not, I've never felt.
That's crazy to me.
It feels, it's like that thing when it's so on the nose, I think.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah.
Honestly, like, I have almost ruined music for myself almost because I just can't.
Yeah.
I can't turn. Honestly, for real, that's why I love reggaeton so much.
Really?
Because I don't know the lyrics, and I get to
'cause you don't
just
speak
sit.
Spanish.
I'm essentially listening to instrumental music, and
That's so funny.
because I do understand Spanish in this like not enough.
You know more
yeah.
Spanish than I do, to
But
be clear.
I the lyrics and stuff just turn into a melody. For me, like it's just rhythm.
Yeah.
It's
just,
like no different than like
sounds.
spoken poetry. Yes.
Yeah.
But so like essentially, it's just like instrumental music.
That's
to
so
me.
interesting.
Yeah, it tickles my brain. I love it.
I love that.
I almost enjoy music more that I can't. I don't know the language to and
Yeah,
stuff.
that's cool.
But yeah, I don't ever get that
feeling from church. I had the opposite experience.
I know, which is like I'm almost jealous, but I'm curious if in that time because I was always like, okay, I'll go with you.
Yes.
Like I want to be. I'm the supportive husband.
I think you went to church with me like 3 times. Maybe.
I've been to church a lot of times.
Well, you went to Catholic Mass a couple of times.
Yeah, but I mean
like Fundy church.
I think, and I've tried to give it a go too. Like I've really tried, and like I've read a decent bit of the Bible, kinda. But like I wonder if the music had resonated with me more or like had moved me in more of a way.
I have a theory.
Tell me.
I think, at least for me, I'm not saying this is true for all people. Don't come for me. But I do think for me, a lot of why I was so moved is because I was so deeply fucking depressed.
Okay.
I was so fucking mentally ill. And
Okay.
a lot of that mental illness centered around self-loathing at the time.
Okay, and so that stuff.
There was a lot of shame. There was a lot of self-loathing. And I think because the music, first of all, is like all of the major chords and it's like the uplifting sort of gospel
very
thing.
like slow and powerful and impactful.
But also because the words are so heavy, the like lyrics that you're singing are so obviously intended to be like you've been redeemed in Christ, right? Like this is why I got so sucked into it so quickly because it felt like finally getting to hear the things that like childhood me wanted to hear. It was like pushing a lot of my trauma buttons.
It was like healing your inner child, or it was like
I thought it was.
Yeah, no,
anyways.
like it was, but like it's that sense of like giving something back to your young. Yes.
Yeah, it was like this like redemption thing that was like so appealing. It was like very seductive to me. I think that's why it affected me.
That makes
so
a lot of
much.
sense to where otherwise for me I'm like I don't even know what they're saying. Like I don't even know what the fuck. Someone can ask me like repeat. That's why when we were in the stream yesterday and I like I was reading the lyrics to is it Hotel Room Service or whatever it is.
I know you guys got my ass.
Oh
God
my
damn
God,
it.
that was the funny.
Did you guys plan that in Discord?
No, I actually laughed out loud.
I hate
like
you guys.
I didn't blow air out of my nose. I actually fucking laughed as you're sitting there reading a comment and it said, "I'll be your plumber.
I know.
Your
I was
pipes
like,
are clean."
what?
And then it says, "Let me fill you with some egg whites." Oh yeah, he said you look healthy. Yeah, that was the lyrics. And I was like, I've been singing this since we were kids.
I'm literally Ron Burgundy. Like,
He's
I just read it off the teleprompter.
Her pipes with egg whites.
Ew,
I know what that means.
ew.
Do you want me to explain the joke or do you get or the innuendo?
I get it.
You got
Thanks.
it? Okay, just in case. I just wanted to make sure we were all on the same page.
Gathered that.
We were in high school blasting that shit.
Yeah, we really thought that was... Well, I did anyways. Yeah, you were sort of a hate nest.
I know.
Anyways.
But I found the way.
Yeah, so I think that's why I ended up getting sucked into that so much.
That makes perfect sense.
Well, and we were kind of talking about this in the car on the way over here.
Yeah.
That I am so thankful that I ended up being sucked into that particular flavor of Fundy Lightism.
I like calling them flavors of like seasonings.
Because it was like a very heavy focus on the redemption and like being washed clean in Christ and like all this stuff, right?
Yeah, I do remember lyrics like the like
yes,
everyone just needs a shower.
Apparently. But I think if I had ended up accidentally finding content like Girl Defined or Paul and Morgan, I would have ended up in a very different place.
Yes.
You know?
And that's scary to think.
Yes.
It's kind of fucked up.
Well, and because I said in the last episode too that like we legitimately like I almost broke up with you because you weren't as religious as I was.
Yeah, they really wanted me to go.
Yeah. Well, because I was going...
In hindsight, red flag.
I was going to Sunday church service.
Yes.
Which was like the cool hip kids
You guys
Sunday.
were going to the cool, broken down...
Sunday night.
place that's normally a bar.
Yeah.
6 days a week, but on Sunday...
It's church.
It's church.
And so I was going to church on Sunday nights, and then I was also going to a women's group.
Yeah.
Where we would look at specific scripture relevant to women, and then I was also going to a Bible study separate of that. So I was going to church like 3 times a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I was
Also-
like a freshman in college.
Also, in retrospect,
Sophomore in college.
how rich that you stumbled upon your first MLM after going to this flavor of Christianity.
It's
we did
a
not
pipeline.
we did not know about MLMs before.
Nope. The same person
boy,
who
did we-
led my women's group also sucked me into an MLM.
Weird how that fucking works, isn't it?
She doesn't do either of those things anymore now. Actually, she just does different MLMs.
If one didn't work, to try another.
That's a really interesting observation, actually. I feel like that probably primed me to be evangelical about that MLM also.
Yeah, I feel like they like almost go hand in hand because if you can
suck people into one, you can probably suck someone into the other one.
Yes, thank you for finishing that. Yeah, because I was having trouble finding that.
Yeah, but I just am really thankful that I ended up getting out of there when I did.
Me too.
Do you remember what the catalyst was for me leaving? Because I don't.
I honestly
feel like I've blocked it out of my memory.
Okay, so I can spitball a couple things.
Yeah.
And if these don't land, then there's just gonna be a cut here, and you guys won't get to hear them.
Yeah.
I sometimes think I was more wise when I was younger. I don't know how that works. You don't think
Disagree.
so? Well, because sometimes you tell me stuff that I said when I was younger me.
Yeah.
And I was like, I said that then?
Yeah.
I said that?
I think you were just, I don't know. I think it's like the young blind confidence thing. Because I think
so
you
now
have
I'm
always
just old confidence thing.
No, I think you just have always thought those things, but like back then you had even less of a filter than you do now.
Oh, I used to just say everything that came out of my mouth.
You did, yes.
There's so many thoughts that don't make it out anymore. And it's probably for the best.
It's probably for the best, yeah.
But yeah, I think it was, they wanted you to go on a mission trip?
Both.
Oh, but it was like thousands of
It
dollars.
was like $5,000. And they told us basically that you could fundraise for your mission trip. Of course, it was a mission trip to Africa also.
It just...
but you could fundraise for it by meeting up with them on a fourth day of the week to go proselytize to homeless people and ask for donations from other people and stuff. It was like
were you
a
asking
thing.
for donations from homeless people?
No. You were supposed to be proselytizing and like trying to convert homeless people to come to the church while also inviting members from the community to come support the homeless. And so when other people would show up to also support the homeless, then you were supposed to ask them for donations. Very convoluted. And I remember like so distinctly being like, I'm not doing that. And I came home from church that Sunday and I was like, ooh,
yeah.
I can't do that. And because I'm conflict avoidant, I was like, I'll just never go back. So I think that
sometimes
was kind of...
that is the best way.
Because I didn't want to have to tell my women's group leader, like, not only can I not convince my husband to come to men's group, and not only is he not coming to Sunday
I will be
mass,
living in sin at home alone.
which is hilarious because we were already married at the time.
I know.
But also, I will not be participating in this missions trip and fundraiser.
We were more together than some of those motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Like...
For sure.
That's crazy. That's super judgy, too.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think at that point I stopped going to church and I was still religious. And then eventually, as I went to therapy more.
Yeah, because that's about the same time you found your first. I remember your first therapist.
I do too.
That's so sweet. I don't know what that says. I think that says
Wait. Which therapist are you thinking of? Because I had like a first therapist that I literally went to for one session and was like, I'm never going back there. And then my first real therapist.
I remember your first real therapist.
Yeah.
I think that's too why your first therapist appointment. Well, I don't know. It's like this hard thing because like you want your first therapist to be great and awesome and like, but it also doesn't always work out that way. So it kind of sucks.
Yeah, which is fine.
Yeah,
I think.
It's like dating almost.
A little bit.
Yeah, like
it's hard to find like a good fit.
Yeah.
But yeah, as I went to therapy more and I started unpacking these like very traumatic things that had happened to me, I started realizing like,
there's a lot of stuff that happened. I feel like every year of our life, a lot of stuff happens.
Well, that was particularly like a trauma heavy period of time.
Yeah.
It was a bit trauma soupy.
There's a lot of soup going on there.
Yeah. But yeah, I really like had some clarity after the fact that like I have been trying to fill this mental illness hole with religion and like actually I'm just mentally ill. And then you know what it was too?
Tell me.
I started taking antidepressants.
Oh.
I started taking antidepressants and I felt like a fucking superhuman, dude. I had the same experience when I got on stimulants the first time where I was like, I can do anything. My brain just does what I tell it to. It was
wouldn't it be the other way around? I do what my brain tells me to do?
No. Well, that's how I used to feel, is that like my poor earthly self was just being commanded by this entity that I couldn't get control of. Yeah. I couldn't focus. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't stay awake.
I know you could.
I was like not deriving joy from anything.
Incompatible with life.
Yeah. And then I finally started taking antidepressants and I was like, wow. I was like, do you feel this way all the time?
I think I remember you saying
There's
that.
like joy in everything. everything.
Life is wonderful.
Yeah, very much.
I wish I
that.
could try antidepressants just to see.
Well, if you don't need them though, then
Then what
like,
happens? It makes you even like.
No, I think it probably doesn't do great things for your brain. I
Probably does.
don't
probably
recommend
fuck something
that.
up.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that
but
was like sort of my pipeline.
I think. Well, and speaking of the pipeline, though, you were talking to me in the car about it. If you had found Girl Defines content, what do you think that would have looked? Or like what? I guess if you want to just humor me, what would that have looked like? Do you think? Or because I think because honestly, too, I think now it's easier because like we're so inundated with like the ways they manipulate and stuff.
Yeah,
but I'm also curious sometimes too if they're aware of it or if like that's just like the culture that's bred within those flavors of Christianity.
I think
because
assigning,
I feel like there's when I look at or when I think back on it now, some of the stuff that like when I did go to church with you, like they all like I could have seen Bethy and Kristen there at that church. Or, like
Scene.
So there was a lot of saliva getting on my tongue, and so I was like doing my best not to make a lip smacking sound.
Okay, that's fair. Sorry.
But yeah, like a Paul and Morgan there or something. Like I very much like there were people. It's just.
Oh yeah.
It's like the vibe.
That would have been Paul and Morgan's bread and butters. Like
they would have loved
cool hip Christians.
They would have fucking loved that shit downtown in the city.
But also who are like secretly very toxic, very judgmental,
sometimes it's not even
very
secret.
Shaming people. You know?
They just try. And I think that's the thing, too, is like, if you're going to be that way, like, Mickey and I are some fucking hating asses about shit.
Yeah, we're very judgy sometimes.
And, like, that's what it is, but we don't shroud it.
Well, no, that's the thing, is we're very open about it.
Yeah.
And, like, the people that we have relationship and connection and community with are aware of that and are, like, also people who are judgmental about things that, like, to me make sense, right? Like, if you're somebody who is, like, I don't know.
Is fucking a bigot.
Or is like not like an ally for like queer people, right?
Yeah.
And like I'm gonna be openly hostile towards you and I'm not apologizing for that. You know what I'm saying?
Because also it's the same thing you're doing to other, like it's the same, it's just the reverse.
Well, and especially people who do it in this like sort of shrouded
it's even fucking worse.
Yeah, like
just
that,
put your ass in the street.
No,
then.
exactly. Yeah. Like I'm not gonna allow you to stand there and like pretend that you're supportive of me when like secretly you're voting for people that would like take my rights away. Like, no. I'm going to stand here and like make you say it out loud. You know, like we all know what's happening, but I'm going to force you to say it out loud in this very judgmental way so that like we're never friends again because I don't want to be friends with you then.
And I think it's fair to say, but like our pettiness alone knows no bounds.
No.
But together is a
Limitless.
truly an unfathomable force.
Yeah. Yeah,
and I'm so fine with that.
I think I said in a Girl Defined video one time that like I could be so much meaner, and I wish that people would appreciate that more. And like I'm so serious.
I don't think people. Some of my favorite videos of yours have never made it or seen the light of day.
Yeah, because they're so. It was like too
eviscerating would be putting
human.
It lightly.
You know, it was like too much of Mickey as a human and not Mickey as a clinician.
I do always wonder though what would happen if those videos like it's not even like you're saying anything. It's not that you're not saying things that you don't already say.
No,
but it's the way that you say it.
Yeah,
and it's so
it's just very cutting,
so tasty.
Yeah, I sometimes if I am not careful, then I can be very harsh.
The Aries rising, it had to be.
Well, and I think a lot of the Scorpio stuff too. Like the Scorpio stellium certainly doesn't help.
You're always ready to just
no, literally. That's literally what Scorpio Mercury is.
Scorpions are just like crazy cool crabs with a tail that can put you
poisonous.
Fun fact: baby scorpions are the ones you have to look out for my friends that don't live in the desert.
Yeah, if you didn't know that, baby scorpions are much more dangerous.
I would much rather get stung by a big one because they know how to control their little sack.
Baby scorpions can't effectively control how much of their poison that they're putting into
that is a
I'm
tangent.
ignoring you. But okay, so to answer your question,
I'm so sorry. Thank you. Yes, tell me.
Don't think I'm trying.
What would things? I'm trying to
find a way to answer this question that's not going to get this podcast like restricted or demonetized.
No, but just say
So like, first of all, I would have spiraled even more than I already was.
That's such sad. That makes me so sad.
Because I did have a lot of shame and like I was very depressed. And also I had this very adversarial relationship with my body and my own mind that like I was deeply frustrated by the fact that I couldn't just will my emotions and my body into submission. Because like I'm not a person who takes failure sitting down, for example.
You don't take it.
That's like that's not my thing. And so I perceived my mental illness as a failure because I couldn't force myself to just be happy or like be like everybody else.
Imagine if you'd found one of their videos.
No, I cannot. And that's especially why content like Girl Defined and Paul and Morgan pisses me the fuck off. Yeah. Because they do sort of shroud themselves in this outside perception of like being the cool, like, progressive, not like progressive, but like relatable Christians.
We got it figured out.
They didn't look like a colonial cosplay like the early years of the
like
Duggars
the church
did.
I went to.
Yeah,
it
where
was
you
very,
can
like,
sort of read
Duggar-esque.
from the outside that you're like, oh, these are like not my people, right?
Yeah.
But like it's very much the wolf in sheep's clothing thing.
Yeah.
That like from the outside they seem like people that are okay and cool and like maybe this is an okay place for me to be, and then like bam, like we hit you from the side with this like very shaming, like self-hatred, self-loathing message.
They do it to themselves too, like actively.
Yes. But yeah, I think first of all, we may very well have ended up not being together.
Because we have broken up once before.
Yeah, we had like one
that.
meaningful breakup.
That was like in high school, like right after high school.
Yeah, that was like.
But I wonder if what that would have looked like, because we had already been married when you started going to that church.
Yeah.
Like, would you have divorced? Like, do you think those messages would have been powerful enough to like feel a desire to divorce me because I wasn't going to church with you?
Maybe.
Really?
I don't know. Well, I don't know because like divorce is very frowned upon also, right?
Yeah,
but
I know.
think,
so it's like this like.
I think we would have ended up in a situation where I was like actively trying to force you
to go to church and like be part of the group and everything. And
like that would have probably dissolved any like respect and mutual care that we had. But also I think their very shamey attitude and like especially the things that they say about like if you're depressed, like just don't. Right? Or like it's because you're rejecting Jesus or because you're living in sin or whatever. Yeah. I think also too that would have ended up being like, of course I'm depressed because I'm allowing myself to live in a relationship with a man who's not a believer. And so like I deserve this, right? Like that would have ended up in like
God, that's fucking
like
awful.
I think I might have died, I guess is what I'm saying. I don't know that would have been like a safe place for me. And like that's especially what fucking pisses me off because like I like don't get me wrong, I was traumatized, right? Like I've survived a fair amount of trauma in my lifetime, but like none of that was unworkable though. Like I've never had to do like particularly intensive care. Like I, for all intents and purposes, have except for my eating disorder relapse last year. Dude. That was really the only time that I've had to do like expressly like specialized intensive care. And also specific. Because the timeline for that, I was like, I need to fucking get better. But like for all intents and purposes have received pretty garden variety therapy and care and like come out the other side being like a different fucking person. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So like the thing, like I wish that somebody would have told young me this earlier, that like you don't have to do this, right? You don't have to like full commit to this like church and this belief and all this stuff in order to feel better. Like it can be a part of your life, sure, but also like you're seeking answers in the wrong place. And if you can just scrape together like, a couple $100 in a month to go to therapy, then like I can assure you that you will feel better. Well,
I think if the insurance stuff, because the way our insurance was set up at the time too was like.
Oh yeah, therapy was very accessible to us.
I know, and we like just.
Well, we didn't know. Yeah, but also because I had a lot of shame about going.
I don't think people realize too, and like I know sometimes it's kind of like a meme now, like everyone should go to therapy, and like you can just find it. And I will say to some degree, like fuck companies that abuse that, like specifically BetterHelp.
Yeah. Fuck them.
But like bringing awareness to it and stuff. And like, I know so many more people now that go.
Yeah. And then talk about it openly.
Yeah. Like that was not a thing.
No.
When
the first time that I had heard of therapy was, or like heard of normal people.
Not in like a movie therapy.
Yes. Going to therapy was when I went to college.
To be a therapist.
Like, I don't think that people really understand how stigmatized it was. And like, maybe that's not true for everybody everywhere, but like, at least in our adolescence, the idea of going to therapy was not a normal thing.
Oh, like something like you had to have had like...
The only like teenagers really that went to therapy were people who were like very deeply, deeply unwell.
Or,
and like
forced to go.
Well, and like could no longer be ignored.
Yeah.
Right? Like it was sort of a joke in high school and whatever that we were all fucking depressed and like teetering on the edge. It was like a weird mutual bonding thing that we did. It was like really fucked up and sad. But like all of our parents just sort of like... like, I'm not addressing that. We're not talking about that,
Also, like, our whole generation just collectively going through, like, 9/11, 2008.
Yeah. We watched our parents lose their life savings and then, like, got even poorer than we already were.
They're like, why are those millennials so weird?
Why are we so depressed? I don't know. Yeah.
I don't understand why they want their avocado toast in Starbucks.
No, like, literally. Yeah. That's why I'm buying all the Halloween decorations. Leave me the fuck alone.
Yes,
it's my only source of joy. No, I'm just kidding. But, I mean, for real, though.
No, like, But it's just crazy to think that, like, therapy was, like, so... not talked about. Like that was not.
No, I didn't learn what formal coping skills were until I went to college either.
Well, and even too, if you had gone down the pipeline of like go like finding Girl Defines videos and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
like you wouldn't have probably made it to therapy anyways.
No, because they
there's
also
such an emphasis.
stigmatize that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's what I'm saying. Like, it would have steered my life in such a radically different direction.
Yeah.
And I was very vulnerable to internalizing this message that they peddle, which is that if you're unwell, if there's anything wrong with you, it's your fault.
Ugh.
Right? And
you probably been super, like you were already kind of primed for that.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why I also wanted to talk about growing up in the Catholic Church, because like I do have some fond memories of that. And I think it was like a nice thing, like for all intents and purposes, it could have been way worse, right?
No, yeah, I think.
But
yes.
I was still very much primed to internalize this belief that anything that's wrong in your life is because of you, right?
Yeah.
It's this very like shame-based teaching. And so.
Especially with sin.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Well, and like they made me do confessions and stuff when I was little.
Like how young?
I don't know. Like,
children have to go to, or you would go to confession?
Not all the time. Like at least my parents didn't force me to.
Yeah. But like that was the thing you could.
Mm-hmm. Well, and especially if you did your first sacrament when you were little.
Oh, okay.
Or your like Eucharist sacrament. Because I didn't do that until I was like 18. That is one like piece of credit that I'll give my parents, is that they told me, we did your baptism for you. My mom was terrified that we would die and end up in purgatory. That's a Catholic belief, by the way,
Purgatory?
if you don't know that. Yeah.
Or purgatory is specifically to Catholicism?
I think so.
Oh, I thought that was just like a general like.
No. Well, and that's why Catholics baptize people when they're babies, because they're afraid that if you get baptized and you haven't accepted Jesus as your savior, then you end up in purgatory forever. And so there's very much this like your baby could sort of be like half in eternal hellfire if you don't baptize them.
I did not know that.
Oh, it's super, super
that
dark.
makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. But my parents baptized me because my mom was terrified that we were going to die, which in hindsight makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And then they said, we are giving you the choice, basically. Like, if you want to do your, like, there's several sacraments in the church. I don't really want to get into it. And also, I don't really remember what all of them are. But the, like, grown-up one is when you do your first Holy Communion.
Oh, okay.
A lot of Catholic people or kids do that when they're, like, 6. Because you go to the classes.
Yeah, I feel like that was something like you just do. I thought it was another thing you do super
I was
early
like an outlier for going when I was an adult. I went with like other adults. No. It was like an adult specific class for like the late bloomers, basically. Or like people who were adults and wanted to convert to Catholicism.
Yeah. That's like how you do it.
Yeah, you go to these classes. And so that was also, too, I was doing that in my freshman year of college, where every Sunday, an hour and a half before Mass, I went to these classes, and then I went to an hour-long Mass, and then I went to brunch with my parents. And, like, so my whole Sunday was gone.
The last time I remember us going, we made it there at, like, I don't know, church started at 9. We made it at, like, 8:59.
My mom was so mad.
Like by the skin of our teeth.
Oh yeah.
That was the last. I think that was the last time I went, because I was like, this is too stressful.
Yeah. Well, because everybody gets pissy and angry with each other.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I know. Then just go in there and stew during.
Yeah, during Mass, which is weird. But so I did all of those, and then I did my like first Holy Communion. But my parents specifically told me, if you do this, we want it to be your choice. Like we want you to choose to commit to the church. Yeah.
One of our friends, and I've never heard of this experience before, and it's so unique. But their parents let them decide when they were growing up what churches they wanted to go visit. And
literally, like on a regular basis, they'd be like, "Should we try this church? Should we try this church?" And it wasn't like just different Christian churches. It was like let's try going to like a Buddhist religious service. Yeah. Let's try going to like, I don't know, some like pagan thing.
Yeah.
It was like all different types of religion, which sounds so cool.
I don't wish, but like I'd be so curious to see what it would look like if we walked in. Also, I don't know if people, and I hope you're okay with me sharing this, but I don't know if people know, like, Mickey's a little tatted. Like, she's got a few tattoos.
Yeah.
But her biggest tattoo is a, like,
giant
12-inch, 14-inch.
It's the size of my whole thigh.
Cross. Like, Mickey has a giant cross on her leg.
I'm working on getting it fixed, by the way.
But, like,
that was my first tattoo.
You were in it.
And it was a big deal.
Yeah. Like,
because I got it to celebrate, like, finishing those classes.
Yeah. No, I remember. You literally went to the first tattoo artist you could find, basically, and were like...
Well, to be fair, it was supposed to be a tattoo artist that, like, was a friend of my family.
Yeah.
But I went there for, like, a consultation. I, like, called, and I was like, hey, I want to book a consultation with this person. And they're like, yeah, just come in. Like, he works these days. So I came in, and they're like, oh, he's not here. I can take you, though. And I was like, okay.
What's the worst that could happen?
That tattoo artist was such a dick, though.
Yeah, you say he pushed really... He was...
Yeah, I think he was one of those tattoo artists that thinks it's funny to like hurt people.
And it's not.
And also you can tell that he was pushing too deep because some of the parts of my tattoo were blown out. He like very much went too deep into the skin because that's what blowout is.
Yeah,
So I think he was torturing
Find
me
yourself a sweet
little.
tattoo
I
artist.
know, find a good tattoo artist,
that
honestly.
Yeah.
Because I was talking to my hairstylist, because my hairstylist also knows our tattoo artist. And they were like, they have such a gentle, like, sweet way about them. And I was like, I know. Why do you think I keep going back
poke,
there? Yeah.
the forbidden scratch.
Because you get like great art out of the deal, but it's like such a calming, chill
yeah.
experience. So, anyways, that's a bit of a tangent.
That's our recommendation this week is tattoos.
Yeah.
Get some. But no, I wonder what that would look like if we walked into a church. Like if
I don't know.
Because they want people in there, but they don't want people that probably look like us.
I know. But also high key at this point, I'm so scarred by by a religion that like I don't want to touch it with 100-foot pole.
Oh no.
Like astrology and like witchcraft is about as close as I'm ever gonna get to like formal religion ever again.
Totally.
Because it just like I think I've tried enough of it now to feel like none of those experiences were really validating. None of that was especially life-giving, you know? And like the whole reason that I appreciate astrology and witchcraft as like my own spiritual practices is because there isn't the dogmatic aspect of it, right?
Yeah, like you can like come in and out and like
there are certain like rules, I guess, about witchcraft, especially because if you're gonna like dabble in the spirit realm, you should like be responsible about it.
I don't believe in a lot of stuff, but I do not believe in fucking with spirits. I tell you right the fuck now.
I have learned my fucking lesson, bitch. I can't even really talk about that still because I start to dissociate real bad.
Fair.
So like fair enough in that regard. But like for the rest of the time, like if you don't prescribe to a certain belief or like resonate with a particular part of your chart in astrology, no one's going to yell at you. No one says that you're bad. No one's telling you that you're wrong. You know, it's very much a take what works and leave the rest thing. And like, again, that's about as close as I'll ever get to that stuff ever again because I just don't trust it. And I know that that's really cynical and bitter, but like, and to be clear, I'm not judging anybody else who wants to be religious. That's just not my...
Some of our really good friends are like,
path anymore. You know, it scares me personally. I'm a little envious of people who do have the experience of like actual safe churches and stuff.
Yeah,
like,
I feel like the community is probably fucking like. Well, I guess if you can find one that's like,
fair,
accepting and
well, I think that's part of the other problem is that like we're openly queer and liberal and like that's not.
I know, and I think
really
that's the other thing.
Accepted.
Yeah, but I guess it really is just kind of the way it is. There'd be so many caveats and different things. Like it's just I think like it'd be impossible.
There is a church here in town actually that I have heard is like particularly welcoming. It's called the Universalist Unitarian Church.
Okay.
Some people call it UU.
UU.
But they have this big giant banner on the outside of the church that says LGBTQ welcome and loved here or something.
Oh, that's really sweet.
And then it's also like a very common church for new refugees to visit.
That's cool. Okay.
If you guys didn't know, Tucson is like
actually
there's like a lot of refugee support and like activism that happens here. There's a lot of people who are refugees that live in the city. And so that's also like a place where those people can find community because it's essentially like a fucking mashup of like all religion ever.
Is there like a specific?
I think that's the thing is they like incorporate little bits and pieces
that's kind of
different.
Awesome though, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's probably like the only thing that would seem sort of appealing. But also at the same time, I know that this is probably me being lazy. I don't want to go to fucking church.
No, I don't got time.
I don't have time for that. I don't want to go on a fucking Sunday morning.
You gotta get up. You gotta get dressed.
I'm lazy.
You gotta eat some food before. You're gonna be cranky.
Sunday's like the only day that we have that's like free time, really.
I know.
And I'm not surrendering my mornings
most of the time, we're
anymore.
still working on stuff.
Yes. I'm not surrendering my mornings to go to fucking church.
I can't even get you to go up and get in the morning up as it is now.
I know, literally. Also, to be fair, I'm menstruating, so my body is being held hostage. So.
And it won't be on this episode, but I think we should do it at some point. But I would love to be hooked up to the TENS unit. And then during an episode... Because I told Mickey out of solidarity if she wants to hook me up today. Yeah. And then she can just push the button whenever you have a crampy or something, whenever you just feel when it so calls to you.
I know my cramps are really bad this go around. I don't know what is wrong, but I'm
so sorry.
I suppose there's nothing wrong. That's just the way that it works, huh? But no, I did decline your very generous offer just because I feel like this was a slightly more serious conversation. So
I don't know if it would have worked quite as well. Me sitting here waiting to go.
But I do want to try it though. I want to
because
of the TENS unit that we have. It's like two separate things, so you can control them separately. So I want to have them on me, ideally when I'm not actually menstruating, so that I can experience so that I can like say like, oh yeah, that's pretty similar to what cramps feel like, and then give you the same thing, and see how you respond to like a 1-for-1. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't just want to like all the way up and like try to hurt you. Like that's
all
not
the way up.
that's not like my goal here. I want to see how you actually respond to like similar levels of pain.
Okay, I love that. Yeah,
as to like what I experienced monthly.
I am nervous, but I would love to do that with you.
I feel like it could go either way because in some ways you have a much better pain tolerance than I do.
And in some ways I feel like I have no pain tolerance.
Correct.
Though.
Yeah. So I'm curious to see, but I don't know, like you can hang with like when we do tattoos and stuff, like you're pretty chill about it.
I love getting tattooed.
We don't have time to unpack all of that. No. I just think it's funny because I do too. I tell my tattooist that I like this area the most, which is
so good.
That's so a window into our own mental illness. I think that's a good place to wrap it up for today.
Too. So I think I'm going. We've never watched it before, but I saw briefly a clip of this show. Yeah, Tank Girl. So that'll be our video, our movie. I'm really excited about it. I think it's gonna be fun. It looks like chaos. 90s just enveloped. Yeah, it looks like it's almost camp. It's gonna be camp in nature. I wonder if it was camp then or if it's camp now. Because it's so over the top. Both, I think. Do you have any recommendations this week? I do. My water bottle, I was telling you about this last night. So this has been a game changer. I am a Hydro Flask girly, like from the beginning. We've had them, your parents? I remember your parents. I've literally had this since 2015. Like it's so fucked up. I'm so mad someone stole my first one. I know. No. It was on top of the car. No. Oh no, that was mine. Yeah, that was yours. That's that one actually. I know. This Hydro Flask got driven on the car and rocketed off, and we went and grabbed it. I know. Well, there's a dent on the bottom from where I smacked it into concrete stairs when I was at my internship. Concrete. But I have had a Hydro Flask for a really long time, and I go through phases with like how invested I am in using it, you know. But I switched the lid recently because my old one was skanky. It was like really gross and not good, and I needed to clean it, so I got rid of it because I just couldn't. I couldn't clean. It was beyond repair. Yeah. So I got this straw lid, and this is like silicone-y. It's got a good resistance on it. It's tight. If you dump it upside down, obviously it would sort of. Go ahead, show the camera. Okay, well, it comes out of the straw a little bit. Yeah, there's like 2 drops, but it's like really not that bad. Okay, that's plenty, my love. It's like a little hamster. Thank you. I can feed you like a little hamster. But it's like a regular straw, like a straw cup. And so it's like all the best parts of like straw cups and a Hydro Flask. And I literally have been drinking like 64 ounces of water every day, which like I'm so for a person with ADHD, I'm so impressed with myself. Because before I was lucky to get in 32, like one of these. But like I just sit like I'm a hamster. I told you. I literally was like, if there's a straw in front of you, you'll drink it. If you are a straw beverage person where you just like suck down beverages that have a straw because you have no self-control like me, highly recommend. Please hydrate yourself because this makes it way easier. And like you actually may have drank more water than me yesterday. I literally can't remember the last time that happened. I'm pissing all the time. I just can't stop being a real piss girl, huh? I am. Ooh. Should we talk about that actually really quick? If you guys don't know, there's a TikTok. I know I say this all the time. I'll put it in the description. I'll really try to remember this time. But there is apparently a distinction between a piss girl and a pee-pee girl. Oh, yeah. I'm a pee-pee girl. Yeah. So piss girls are people who basically try to stretch the limits of their biology. They don't try to, but like they do end up stretching the limits of what you can biologically hold. This is a person on a road trip who will go straight through, right? And when you actually go piss, you go piss girl. And pee-pee girls are the girls that like go pee-pee in preparation for leaving somewhere before you drive somewhere. I don't want to be going somewhere with a full bladder, okay? But see, I think it's because I have ADHD that like by the time I realize I have to pee, I'm like, oh no. Like this is why I pissed my pants a lot as a child. Because I didn't notice that I had to pee. And then all of a sudden it's an emergency. So when I go pee, I have to go pee. Some thoughts are inside thoughts. Well, that's true. I really feel like we should talk about that more because I had a lot of shame about it for a long time. Did you? Like, yeah, actually, it was just because I had wicked ADHD and nobody helped me understand that, like, you're not in touch with your bodily impulses, babe. Oh, yeah. Like, regularly. Like, my mom and my first grade teacher. How old were you? First grade? My mom and my first grade teacher had, like, an understanding that, like, my mom had extra shorts for me. I was thinking, like, you were older, like, wetting the... No, I never wet my bed or anything, but I would like at school and stuff, especially because I would get distracted. Yeah. I was like doing homework or playing with my friends and like doing stuff. And then all of a sudden I had to go pee. And because of the way the elementary school is where you have to like, it's so like, and then you have to walk down the hallway. And so by the time I would make it there, I wouldn't make it. I would like wait. Okay, and babe, actually I want to rescind what I said earlier. Thank you. Because that's actually like really sad. I'm sorry. And like, it's not like
negligent, and well, maybe I guess a little bit, but like I think people should talk about it more because I thought there was something wrong with me.
Yeah, and that's not what's going on.
Yeah, no, I was just struggling to understand that like I didn't have any
I was thinking like
in touch with my like bodily impulses.
Okay.
I have the same problem with being hungry.
I
don't realize I'm hungry until I'm like fucking
shaking.
and like I'm like, wow, my blood sugar is so low. I have to remind myself to do stuff. Yeah, neurodivergency is kind of a bitch.
Damn, that happened more than once?
Oh yeah, like all the time.
You think also, I think that's the wildest thing to me is that while we were kids, like certain things would happen or like we would have different ailments and it's like treat us like outdoor dogs sometimes.
A little bit.
Like they're kids, they'll figure it out.
Yes. Especially, I think it's funny because my dad was like diagnosed with ADHD when he was a kid, and his parents like rejected that as if to say like, no, he doesn't have ADHD.
I know, like ADHD, like,
but
this is a diagnosis. Like,
my parents should have clocked that like your kids will likely also have this.
Like, that's weird. Why do you act just like your father?
Yes. Yeah. And you have all these weird problems that like don't seem at all related to the kids your age. Like maybe there's something that we should address here. You know?
Is it just stick them in gifted classes?
No, the 90s were a hell of a time, man. Like people didn't really talk about like mental illness in kids.
We were just good vibes.
Or, like neurodivergency.
That's why the music was so good back then.
Yeah.
Just vibes.
That's fair. It was our only outlet. Anyways, this took a turn, but that's my rec for this week is this water bottle top. I got it on Amazon. I'm still trying to learn how to use my Amazon storefront.
I think we should be able to put that on
I'm a boomer, but I'll put it on there if I can figure it out.
Honestly, because
I love
there's
this
another
thing.
one at home I'm thinking about switching.
Highly recommend. It's also much easier to clean, which I love.
Yes.
Because the other one that's like the little
the water here is so
thing.
hard.
Well, yeah, it gets covered in calcium deposits and it's yucky. So, yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Outro music time.
Yep. Outro music. Thanks for coming.
Thank you guys for watching.
Please subscribe on any of the platforms or all
Whichever
of the platforms that you're listening on. And then like the video if you like it, because we like that. So thanks.
You like it. We like it. Everybody likes it.
That's it. And we'll see you for the next one.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.